Welcome to All Things Food. I'm John Woods, and I love to cook, but I cook to love. And today we're talking cream of mushroom condensed soup. Now, why don't we want to buy it anymore? Well, there are several reasons. One, have you ever read the label on the back of a canned soup? About 20 different ingredients, mostly preservatives, mostly additives. So we want to make it, first of all, because it's going to be healthier for us. The second reason is it's going to be more flavorful. Instead of all these man-made ingredients and preservatives, we're going to have all natural, fresh ingredients here. So it's going to be a more flavorful, and we can adjust the seasoning as we want to. And the third reason is it gives us the satisfaction of accomplishing something easy, but really, really good in the kitchen. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take we've already heated up our little pot here to about a medium heat, and I'm going to throw in about 1 tablespoon of butter. Throw these finely diced onions in there. And you can use shallots as well, either one. I'm using onions today. And onions are optional, but I think it just gives another dimension to the soup. We're going to cook down these onions for just about 2 or 3 minutes, not very long. And you notice I've sliced my portobello mushrooms. Use any kind of mushroom that you want. Just make certain it's good and clean. But I sliced these and we're going to saute those in this butter with this onion. Stir them around a bit. I've got other butter here, more butter if I need to add it, which we may need to. I'm going to take a little bit of kosher salt and sprinkle on top of those mushrooms. You know, mushrooms are primarily water. I think it's 90-some% water. The salt's going to pull the moisture out of the mushrooms. It's going to just be a much nicer dish when we get finished with it. Now keep in mind this is a condensed version, so it's going to equal about 1 cup of this, but we're doubling the recipe today because we're going to use this in another casserole that I'm making, a homemade green bean casserole. You can watch that video. So we're going to double the recipe, but I'm going to put everything in the link down below so you'll have the exact recipe to make 1 can of condensed cream of mushroom soup. I'm going to go ahead and add some more butter, and 1 more tablespoon of butter, because we're going to need that when we make our roux in just a moment. While our mushroom's cooking, let's go ahead and talk about the flour. This is all-purpose flour, just a general flour that's used for just about everything, all-purpose in the kitchen, of course. Don't use wheat flour or any gluten-free flour, of course. So we're going to use this as a thickening agent. We're going to put in 1 tablespoon per recipe. We're doing 2 recipes today. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. And now, if you don't want to use flour, you can definitely use cornstarch, or there are a multitude of thickening agents. I'm just choosing to use flour for the purpose of this video. It's looking pretty good over here. I'll go ahead and add my flour in. Sprinkle it right in there. Now I'm going to just stir that around and cook it down a little bit. You want to cook it long enough to get that flour taste out of it. And one thing when you make a roux, you want to constantly stir it, especially if you're making a dark roux. It's not so critical making a blonde roux here, but we're going to just keep that stirred up a little bit. Plenty of butter. I didn't put too much in, so 2 tablespoons, 1 per can is perfectly fine. First of all, now I'm going to add my chicken stock over here is what we're going to do. Bring it back up to temperature, then we'll add our cream a little bit at a time. I'll go ahead and take my heavy cream and I'm going to pour it in a little at a time. And we're going to bring this to a boil. It should thicken up. It's come to a boil and now it's starting to thicken up pretty good. Now what happens here if we need to thicken this up a little more? They say it's a little thinner than we want. We have a couple options. I can go ahead and let this cook longer and let it reduce down, and perhaps it'll thicken up to where I want it to go. Or you can, if you have some roux already made, some blonde roux, which I usually keep some made, but I'm out of it right now, you can add that back to it. Or you can add cornstarch, just follow the instructions on the box of cornstarch. Or you can go ahead and get you some flour, put another spoon or so in there, and make you a little slurry with water. Just put a little bit in so it's kind of like a paste. And you can put it in there and then thicken it up that way. We're going to see if we're going to need it here. I'm going to just slowly pour that in there. And that should get it to about where I want it. Yep, I can look at it already thickening up quite nicely. Didn't take but a second. That's a nice little trick to know whenever you're making a cream soup that you can do that. Our soup's thickened up real nicely and it really smells good. There are a few more things we're going to do to finish this off that's not required. I'd like to take a little bit of this Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce and put a little drop or two in it because it gives me that umami flavor and it also darkens it up a little bit. That's more than 2 or 3 drops. That was about a dozen. And remember about this, if you use this, if someone has a fish allergy, they don't need to have this because it does have fish in this. So be careful, always remember that. And then I'm going to take a little bit of cooking wine over here, vinegar, white wine vinegar, and add just another splash or 2 to that. And that's going to help elevate the flavor of this some. There's one more final touch we're going to have here. I have my immersion blender since I did not finally dice those mushrooms for this video. You can leave the mushrooms just like that if you want to, but a lot of people have an aversion to mushrooms, but if you dice them up really fine, they're totally fine with it. So I'm going to take this immersion blender, nice little tool, and I'm going to hit the on button over here and find it, and then we're going to just put it down in here. And when we're finished with this, it's going to look just like your cream of mushroom soup that you buy in a can, but taste 100 times better. So this is going to be just about perfect in a few minutes, and we're going to use this in some recipes, some casserole recipes, and I want you to watch those on the video. So whenever you do these casseroles, instead of buying the soup, you can come over to this video, watch it, say I'm going to make my own cream of chicken, my own cream of celery, my own cream of mushroom, and you're going to be really, really glad you did. It's healthy, it's flavorful, and just having the satisfaction of not only loving to cook, but cooking to love. Thanks for watching All Things Food. I'm John Woods, and I do love to cook, and I look forward to seeing you next week. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so, and hit that like button today, and tell all your friends. I look forward to seeing you again soon. So good.